My name is Beth Reilly, and I am with Realty and the Flamingo Group. And today I have the privilege to interview Rachael Kroog, kind of a legend in Bloomington, who is a nationally ranked pickleball player. Hi, Rachael.
Hey Beth, thanks so much for having me on.
Thank you. I was glad I could finally get on your schedule. You are one busy lady. One of the reasons I thought we would talk a little bit is to learn more about your background and how you started with pickleball. This is a really interesting, fast-growing sport, and you see pickleball courts all over the Bloomington area. And I'd love to know more about how you came to be in this sport. And of course, I'd like to hear about all your awards too.
Well, I was a multi-sport athlete in high school and went to college on a tennis scholarship. And my dad was instrumental in coaching me in all of those. He was an amazing athlete. And that's actually his picture there. And he and I had won our last mixed doubles tennis tournament together. And so I told him that I was looking forward to playing again with him. And he said, I can't play tennis anymore. And my heart sank. But he said, it's okay. And I said, Dad, how can it be okay? He said, because I found a new sport. And I said, you're 79 years old. What new sport do you find? And I'm thinking shuffleboard or bocce ball.
Yeah.
And he said, pickleball. And I said, what? This is
Yeah.
about 15 years ago. And he said,
Okay.
I think you're going to like it. So he introduced me to the sport, and I was part of the first original group that played, and it was right here in Bloomington. We were the only ones playing, I think, in the entire state because of Jim Calacious, who we fondly call the father of Minnesota pickleball, brought it back from Arizona. And I know we're going to talk about him later, but played with Jim and Jerry Peterson. Both in the Bloomington Hall of Fame at Kennedy High School for coaching. So I'm very, very proud of that for them. And Jerry was my original mixed doubles partner. So
in tennis.
What's that?
In tennis, right? The mixed doubles.
No, Jerry Peterson, the guy who's actually good friends with Jim Calacious, he and I were pickleball partners, mixed doubles pickleball.
Okay.
Yeah, because he was part of the original group as well, and both those guys are in the Hall of Fame. Yeah.
Oh, got it. Now you won over 100 medals in your 10 years of competition, and it looks like you went all over the country to play pickleball. Is that correct?
It is, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you went. There's actual pickleball tournaments that are that have taken place for over the last 10 years. I mean, to us, it's just a little wiffle ball and a ping pong paddle. It's really a very well established sport, and it's growing rapidly. So to hear that you went to all these different states to actually compete and had won, obviously over 100 medals is pretty impressive. What are you doing recently that you're continuing to grow in this? You just mentioned to us before we got on the webinar.
Yeah. Well, I want to just say that the key in pickleball is really the key in life, which is you have to pick a good partner. You have to surround yourself with good people that are going to lift you up, that are going to support you, that are going to be with you, especially when the chips get down.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that in many of my partners, including Jerry Peterson and another hometown guy, Rob Schmidt. They're just great supportive people. And everybody wants to be with you when you're winning.
Right.
But the key is, like I said, when things get a little tough, who's going to still be rooting for you? And so that's really the key. And I found some really great people to partner with. And we were a winning combination.
Yeah.
I feel
Very
very
nice.
fortunate.
Yeah. Champions, actually. That's
Yeah.
excellent. There you are with it. Now, who's the group on the left in that last picture?
So
Everybody in the party
that's
hat.
that's a great picture because, well, first of all, it captures the fun and the craziness and the silliness of the sport because
Right.
I just gave them a bunch of cones that I had on the court because I like having targets. And I said, let's have some fun. And they put them on their head. And
Cute.
the key to this is you can't take this game too seriously.
Right.
Even if you're competing for the big bucks or the big medal, the more relaxed you are, the more fun you're having,
Hmm.
the better you will be at anything, including pickleball. So, my business is PB for life because pickleball gives us life, and we want to play pickleball for the rest of our life.
Sure.
Um, so, to be relaxed, there's just so many analogies between pickleball and life.
Right.
We do better in everything in life when we come to it with a positive perspective. This is, this logo here is I worked on this for a whole year to design this, and it's the yin yang really of pickleball and life, which is life and pickleball. It's about the softness and it's about the power, the finesse. Um, and you put those together and you get in the flow.
Right.
Also, the yin yang is the because I teach body, mind, spirit. Body is our skills,
Right.
mind is our strategy, and spirit is our spirit. So that's another yin yang. Um, I love teaching that way because it tends to relax people. And I also talk a lot about yoga and how getting back to the breath, breathing in and slowing our breathing down to be calm because there's constant decision making made in pickleball and in life.
Right.
And there is the stimulus and there is the response. And in between there is a choice that we make. How are we going to respond to that stimulus? And if we are calm, we will make the best decision at the best time.
Boy, you make me want to play pickleball right now.
It's
I want
good.
to
It's
put
a
it
good
in.
training for life.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Could you tell us a little bit about the history of Joel, Bill, and Barney? This also tells us what you're doing right now, but you tell a good story, so I'm going to let you do your thing. How did pickleball come around?
Well, it was a family vacation in Bainbridge Island back in 1965. The kids are bored. We've all heard this phrase from children. We're bored, there's nothing to do, when in actuality, there's a lot to do. But they're
Right.
just looking for something new to do. So the dads, Joel, Bill, and Barney, got together and basically they took what they had and they expanded upon it. So they took the badminton court that was in their yard, they lowered the net down to 34 in the center, 36 on the end. A tennis net is 36 all the way across. So they wanted it a little bit lower in the middle to give you a little room for air.
Okay.
And then they got a wooden paddle and found a wiffle ball, and they invented the sport. I had the privilege and pleasure of sitting next to Barney McCollum, who was the last surviving member of this
Oh.
terrific trio
Hmm.
at Nationals. Oh my goodness, maybe 6 years ago, and he's a character, just a
Yeah.
great guy with a great sense of humor. Um, and it was an honor to sit by him and to have my picture taken with him. Um, so that's how the game came about. And now let's fast forward. First of all, the three guys had no idea what would where pickleball would go. Of course, how would they? And now it's been the fastest growing sport in America for the past 3 years, and it's just going like this. It's really almost out of control. Um,
Yeah.
but to draw the connection with JBB, Joe, Bill, and Barney, I'm so privileged and honored and to tell you the truth, shocked that I got drafted to be a part of the inaugural year of the NPL, the National Pickleball League, which was the seniors, i.e., 50 and up. And yes, I qualified. I know some of you out there are wondering, could she possibly be 50?
How
Well,
could it
yes, I am.
happen?
Uh, anyway, it's the response to the Major League Pickleball, the MLP, which is for younger people, which is
Sure.
absolutely taken off. And
Yeah.
the senior pros were thinking, hey, what about us? We're the ones that really got this sport going. It started with the senior crowd,
And organized it.
and
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And and so a bunch of senior pros said, we're going to start the NPL, the National Pickleball League, for competitive athletes 50 and up. And it is the only competitive team sport of any kind of sport that is for team sport
Right.
for competitive athletes 50 and up. And
Wow.
the team that I got drafted on is owned by Bob Stroman, who is a fabulous businessman and actually in the Hall of Fame himself. He's Augsburg College graduate,
Oh,
and he
okay.
heads up the Naples Pickleball Center down in Naples, Florida. But he bought the team, and he and Jen Lucor, who, by the by, a dear friend of mine, and in the Pickleball Hall of Fame as well, she should be.
Hmm.
Uh, Shout out to Jen and Bob. So Jen is there as kind of our manager. Um, and the name of the team, and Jen wrote the book, the history of pickleball, with
Oh,
her
good.
mom, Bev Youngren, and it's a great book, and I think everybody should get it. It's the history of pickleball,
So the
um,
name of
and
your
they
team,
were really good friends with Barney, and
so the
they've been
name of your team is Naples JBB. Is that correct?
Naples JBB United, and our
United. There
tagline
we go.
is honoring the legacy, and I love that
Yeah,
because we're standing on their shoulders.
absolutely. It's
Yeah.
also interesting that you said you met Barney and that he was kind of a character.
Oh, yeah. He was a lot of fun.
It doesn't, I mean, that shouldn't surprise me because it's kind of a silly sport and he'd enjoy the silliness of that. It's not really silly now that I've played for a while, but that he'd have fun with it and kind of create the atmosphere that it should be played in. That makes total sense.
Absolutely.
Um, can you tell me, so Jim Clasius, can you tell me a little bit about the pickleball pioneer in Minnesota?
Oh,
Jim, and this is a very well known, I'll let you do it, but this is a very well known person and courts and everything. So,
yeah, yeah. Well, he brought pickleball back from Arizona, where he and his wife wintered, and brought it back and introduced it on a tennis court. had to chalk the lines. Um, and I remember bringing windshield wiper fluid because it was a heavy bottle and a bungee cord. And I put it in the center of the tennis net so that we would lower the net.
Bring it down.
You bring it down a little bit from 36 to 34. Um, and we played on that court for, my goodness, several years. And we kept talking to the Bloomington Park and Rec saying, we really like some permanent lines on here. And they were not sure about this and if this sport was really going to go anywhere. But we kept after them because our numbers kept growing and growing and growing, and there was a real need for it. And they realized this at one point, and they said, "Okay, we'll line one of the two courts." So I give them credit for that. And eventually, both courts were lined, and it's all thanks to Jim for bringing it back. But of course, it takes a village to build a ball court. So the Barbers were a part of this, and like I said, Jerry Peterson was instrumental in getting his fellow Hall of Famer Jim Clacius to be recognized, and subsequently, Bloomington built the first. There it is. The Jim Clacius pickleball courts. A lot of people call them Westwood courts because they're by Westwood
Elementary. Right.
Right. But that's the official name, Jim Clacius. And
we not far from Willie McCoy's. So that's kind of nice too. You can play a few games, you can just walk over to Willie's. And
Exactly. A lot of players do that. You bet.
So it just dawned on me through this that Bloomington was the epicenter of the absolute beginning of pickleball in the state of Minnesota. Love it. Thank you, Bloomington. Thanks, Jen.
Yeah. Well, I'm a performer as well, and I do shows for kids, Kid Power with Rachael. And I actually just did a show at Moyer Park yesterday. Oh, yeah. And I'm a part of the Bloomington Arts and Entertainment, and I'll be performing at the Bloomington Fete on July 3rd. They always have me there.
July 3rd. Okay.
But the thing that I say in all of my shows in Bloomington is that, and I said it yesterday, that of all the places that I perform, and I've been doing this for 30 years, I do sometimes 200 shows a year, the best place is the Bloomington Park and Rec to deal with because they're so buttoned up. They're so on top of things. They take good care of me. They set up all the equipment, and they're just as sharp as can be. And I'm just so proud. I am so proud of Bloomington in so many ways. Not to mention that the mayor is a good friend of mine. So it's just it's a wonderful place to live, and I'm honored to be a resident.
Yeah, we did Bloomington BAA for years, and that was also very well run. I mean, it ran like a top, and we of course volunteered every year to be coaches or whatever. But the Parks and Rec is very well run. So I'm thrilled to. Well, I've been here 30 years, so I'm gonna shut up now. Yeah, I just keep saying, right? Can you tell us a little bit about the rules? The rules of pickleball, just how they're run. Oh, this is David. Oh, let me apologize. David couldn't make it on today, David Dutrell, so that would have been wonderful to have him on. He had something come up with work, but I like this quote: "Is there is no sport in America that captivates the childhood wonder like pickleball does." And I think that you just really explained that well, Rachael, as far as your enthusiasm, the fun, the community, play like a child, enjoy it like a child. And I think you emanate that in every way when you talk about not only the sport, but all that you love children and all the stuff that you do for kids and entertaining. The next thing we kind of wanted to talk about is really the game itself, like what the court looks like. If you could tell us a little bit about all the crazy stuff in the court, and you don't have to get into, let's not get into scoring.
No.
That gets a little crazy, but this would be interesting to talk more about how this compares to like the tennis court.
Yeah. Yeah. The key, you can see the diagram there.
Mm-hmm.
And you serve cross court like you do in tennis, but
Mm-hmm.
it's an underhand serve, not an overhead serve. And it's got to land in the box, and it can land on the center line, the sideline, or the baseline. But the serve has to clear the non-volley zone line,
Okay.
aka kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
It can hit the net and still be legal, but it has to again land in the box. Um, the beauty of this court, and the thing that makes pickleball, without this element, pickleball would not be pickleball, and that is the non-volley zone.
The kitchen.
That was brilliant and necessary for this game to be played.
Right.
Otherwise, if we didn't have that, everybody would stand up at the net and just go and pop the ball over and game, point over. It wouldn't be a game. So the fact that they have that, it's 7 feet on either side of the net, is brilliant. And basically it means, that you cannot volley the ball, i.e. hit the ball in the air whilst standing in the non-volley zone.
So when it bounces, you can step into the non-volley zone as soon as it touches the ground.
Yeah, you can step into the non-volley zone anytime you want. You don't have to wait until the ball bounces in there. Because part of this game is learning to anticipate what your opponents are going to give you and what that ball is going to do. Okay. So if you see the ball it's barely going to make it over the net, you want to be in the kitchen to get that ball after it bounces, but you want to be in there before it bounces so that you're ready to hit that next shot.
Okay. I didn't know you could do that. I thought you had to stay out of the kitchen and then step in as soon as it hit the ground.
A lot of people, it's a misunderstanding that they have to wait till the ball bounces, but that's not so.
You can stand there and let it bounce, then hit it.
Exactly. In fact, you must let it bounce before you hit it.
Just made an extra point. Okay.
Yeah. And the other thing is let's say you're standing at the non-volley zone line. Your feet cannot touch the line.
Okay.
And you reach in as far as you are comfortable. But let's say you reach in a little bit too much, and now your forward momentum after the shot, and let's say the shot is good and it's a winner. They couldn't touch it. The ball's hit the back fence, but your forward momentum is still going in, and you end up going in, or your hat falls in. It's a fault.
Oh.
Yes. Okay. Your forward momentum cannot take you into the kitchen after you have hit a volley.
Okay.
Or it's a fault. So you would lose a serve, or or the other team would win a point, depending upon who's serving.
Okay. Interesting. That actually really clears up a lot for me. And I've played I haven't played a lot, but you know what I mean? I played enough to know that I want to get those little ones right when they come over the net. And I'm always 7 feet back waiting. So that's good information. You talked a lot about the Bloomington Parks and Rec. We do have a lot of different locations all over Bloomington. Jim Clasius is that one is at Westwood Elementary. What are some of your other places that you like? This is the map, and anybody can look it up. But what are some of the other places that you like to play and that you found has, well, there's 6 or 8 courts at Clasius?
Yes.
I think there's 8.
I think, yes, I think 8. Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's another one out at Dred Scott put up 1 or 2.
No, there's more there.
There is?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
There's at least 4 there.
Okay.
That's a great place. And they have lights. So that's
unique also, is that you can play at night.
Right. You know, we just can't get enough. A lot of people play twice a day. They're out of control.
Yeah.
I think you gotta pace yourself.
Yeah, because my knees aren't gonna be happy.
This is an easy sport to get addicted to.
Mm-hmm.
But take care of your body, and you know, we just can't overuse our bodies without them, you know, without the shoulder starting to hurt, or the elbow, or the knees, head, shoulders, knees, and toes, knees, and toes. Sorry, that's just a little kid thing in there. Yeah, right. So pace yourself, and also the other thing that I would say is go out and drill. If you really want to get better,
right,
you have to drill. Because when you're playing, you might hit 1 out of every 4 shots, maybe 5 shots.
That would be me.
Sometimes in a point, you don't even touch the ball. So people that just play, they tend to just kind of stay the same. And for some people, that's all they want. They're really not interested in climbing the pickleball ladder. But for those of us that want the points to last longer, want a little more satisfaction, want to add what I call another arrow to our quiver of different shots that we have, because it makes it more of a chess game.
Right. There's more strategy involved. Correct.
Oh yeah. A lot of people just play pickleball like it's checkers.
Right.
But really,
it's chess.
The deeper you get into it, it's more like chess.
Okay. I did not, and I'm naive. So, okay, we're in a whole different subject, but I am naive. I haven't done drills. I just kept playing and playing, and I kind of stink. And I continue to kind of stink. So so you're only going to do so you're volunteering. You're going to show people how to do drills on Father's Day. Is that correct? In honor of your dad?
Yeah. In honor of my dad and of Jim Clasius, the father of Minnesota pickleball. Just giving back. And last year, I got contacted by the Alzheimer's Association. And so I did it in conjunction with them. They have a national event called The Longest Day. And so if people wanted to donate any money, 100%, I don't even see it. It just goes direct to the Alzheimer's Association. So I'm doing that again this year.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And where will that be at? Where will you be doing that?
That's at the Jim Clasius courts.
It will be at Jim. Okay.
And I'm going to be, you know, people can contact me, let me know about that if they're interested. It's open to all ages, and it's going to be 2 sessions on Father's Day.
Wonderful.
That's Sunday, June 18th. Yep. So I'll have 2 different clinics that day.
All right, so they can just email you. Your email's up on the screen, so they can just email to get involved. Okay. Right. Well, that will be fun. what some of the common mistakes, you've already brought it up, but one of the common mistakes for a beginner is, first of all, you just said it was drills. That's one of them. What are some of the other, pretty common mistakes that could be avoided for a newbie? And I'm speaking maybe just for myself. No. Okay. A little bit large.
I have part of my other tagline. It says under here, "Party at the kitchen," because when you have a party at your house, where does everybody congregate?
In the kitchen.
Right.
Oh,
And
that's
so,
cute.
yeah.
That's
so
really cute.
I actually, sell these hats and t-shirts. I make $1 on each one. I think it's a great business plan. Beth, I think I need to talk to you about my business plan. But anyway, people need to get to the kitchen line.
Right.
But you have to get there. You don't get a free pass to get there. You have to get there cautiously and carefully. What do I mean by that? Well, the service team starts at the baseline.
Right.
The receiving team has one person that's at the baseline that's receiving the ball,
right.
But their partner is at the kitchen. And I say they're the ones that are hosting the party. And that person only has one person on the invite list. The person that's hosting the party, that's already up at the kitchen line, that is the receiver's partner.
Right.
Only have one person on the invite list, and that is their partner. So they want their partner to return and run.
Right.
Up to the kitchen line. And when I say run, I mean just get there quickly. And they should be there at the party by the time the other team hits the ball. So this hitting the ball hard and straight so that it doesn't land very deep in the court does not serve you.
Okay.
Lifting the ball, giving it some arc on the ball so that you have time to get yourself up to the kitchen is a much wiser choice. Hitting the ball hard might feel good, but it doesn't serve you. So lift the ball. Same thing on the serve. Get that ball, put a nice arc on that ball so you get it deep so that you can keep them away from the party. Receiver has the same thing in mind. So they start heading up to the kitchen. But as soon as the other team goes to hit the ball, you should do what we call in tennis is the split step, where you just stop and you get yourself ready to hit that next ball, as opposed to running and trying to hit at the same time.
Right. Because then you're off.
It's not going to end well. You want to be
it won't end well. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
So let's say they do make it up to the kitchen. Now you have the receiving team both up at the kitchen, having a party, eating all the appetizers, the chicken satay and the shrimp kebabs. Well, the service team says, hey, we want some guacamole dip too. Come on. But how do we get there? It's got to be a wise choice. So you can drive the ball, but again, that doesn't give you time.
Right.
They might miss it, but they might get it back, and now you haven't advanced your cause. So that's where the famous third shot drop comes in, where again, you get underneath the ball, you lift the ball so that it has a nice arc on it. It buys you time so that you and your partner can get up to, you might not make it to the kitchen line, but at least you're starting the journey.
Okay.
And as long as you can make the ball bounce on the other side, it takes away the receiver's power and they can't slam it at you. Now they have to hit up on the ball. And then you can come in for that next shot, which would be then the fifth shot. The third
Okay.
shot is the
Yep,
drop.
1, 2, 3.
Fourth
Mhm.
shot, they hit back. Now you're hitting the fifth shot. That is the service team. They might lift that ball. Now you get to hit down on it and get that money shot. And well, whoever gets to hit that shot,
Okay.
the endorphin
That's the
hit.
money shot. Okay.
Yeah. And I seriously do believe, and I believe it's been proven, that you get an endorphin hit when you hit that shot. Not only do you get it, but your partner gets it too vicariously because they know what that feels like to hit
Yeah.
that shot. And I believe that that's part of the reason why this sport is so addicting. And like I say, there's no known cure for the
Okay.
pickleball, except maybe to play more pickleball.
I know. And my knees start to kill me. So that's why when I hear about drills and some other things, I'm thinking that I could live a little longer in pickleball if I pay better attention and have a more strategic game.
And have a more strategic game. Yes,
Mhm.
that strategy and skills go hand in hand, and I think they're equal in importance. And once you
Right.
learn more of the strategy, it will put you in a better position so that your body isn't compromised.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think I'm jamming, you know,
Yes,
doing
moving.
that.
You're moving too fast.
Right. How could somebody get involved? There's a lot. You've talked about the courts. How could they get involved to kind of get into the sport and find the community, the pickleball community? Are the rules into the game as far as it's not about winning? That's one thing I learned is it's really not about winning. There's actually a community around this sport. It's very much of a gentleman's sport, I would say. And what are some hard and fast rules that you think would be helpful for behavior on the pickleball court? And then also, how do you get involved with
Yeah.
pickleball in Bloomington?
Okay.
A lot there.
Yeah. So there is the Twin Cities Pickleball Club,
Okay.
and I think it's $15 for a year. And
Oh,
on there, they will have all the places to play, and they have what's going on. It's a great organization to be a part of and to support. So I always encourage people to do that.
Twin
There are
Cities Pickleball Club.
Twin Cities Pickleball Club. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, and as far as the court etiquette, stay positive, be supportive, and know that whenever you step on the court with people that are equal or better than you, those other people are going to be very helpful, and they will give you advice, sometimes
Mhm.
unsolicited advice. Um, Sometimes it's good advice, and sometimes you got to check your sources.
Yeah.
Uh, but I would align yourself. There's usually somebody that's kind of, and perhaps self-appointed, I should say, pickleball ambassador of
Mhm.
these particular courts. Align yourself with them, and
Okay.
and find your people. As I say, find your pickleball tribe.
Okay.
I do recommend taking some lessons from a certified pickleball pro.
I think so too. I think that would make a big difference.
Yeah, and there's different certifications. I'm certified in both the PPR, which is the Professional Pickleball Registry, which is a subsidiary of the PTR, Professional Tennis Registry, and also a part of the IPTPA. I'm certified with them as well. Um, but there's coaches all over, and in fact, that Twin Cities Pickleball Club has a list of a lot of the coaches.
Oh,
And
good.
with anything like a doctor, any kind of profession, you find the one that sort of speaks to you.
Hmm.
And but everybody's got a little different angle.
Mm-hmm. We're kind of wrapping it up now. I had one question that I think you might have said it already, but what are some tips for staying mentally focused and motivated during a pickleball game? I find myself, I'm in the middle, and I know I'm running around because I'm not doing my drills and some of the other things you've already said. So
Yeah.
it's interesting. I'm learning a lot from this, but I find myself like we're at point 8 or something like that. I'm dying. I'm tired. How do I stay mentally focused and motivated during a pickleball game so that I, go to the end? I'm good for my partner.
Right, right. Well, part of what drilling does is it creates muscle memory.
Hmm, that's right.
Like you've practiced your drop shot and you've hit it 100 times. It's part of the fabric of who you are, and it comes second nature to you.
Right.
That's one thing. The other thing is before the points even starts, when I'm serving, I I pick my spot and I visualize it.
Hmm.
Where am I going to place the ball? And I'm not only doing that for the first shot, but I'm thinking about 2 shots in a row. After I place the ball on the serve, what am I going to do with the third shot if I get that opportunity? So I know my first 2 shots. Then that we don't know where the point's going to go.
Right.
But it is good to have a target because if you just get up there and you're just saying, well, I'm just going to hit the ball, and I
Right.
don't have a plan. All
Right.
right.
No plan.
So
Okay.
everybody knows to be successful. I mean, for you and your business and realty, you have a plan. Um, on the pickleball court, you got to have a plan. So whether you're serving or you're returning serve, where's the best place to return the serve? And
Hmm.
then where should you be after you serve? So you already have this all worked out. And the reason you have it worked out is because you've already drilled it. And
Right.
it's just part of what you do. Now you make adjustments. You have little tweaks that you do to help you to be more successful.
Right. So it's an economy of motion then as you do your drills, you're economizing how much you're moving.
Beth, that's exactly what the phrase that I use.
Okay.
That I am your econ professor.
And yet this is it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Now you do have, I saw your logos, you have some other things. Could you tell me a little bit about what your other personal business is that you do above and beyond and outside of pickleball? I mean,
Oh,
you're
yeah.
involved with a lot of stuff, so I'll make you focus in on one that you'd like to promote before we sign
Right.
off.
Right. Well, I am a singer, songwriter, guitarist, and I also have animals. I used to work for the Minnesota Zoo, traveling around doing
Oh,
live animals shows.
nice.
So I do kindness assemblies and kindness presentations using interactive music, comedy, juggling live animals. But I don't juggle live animals; that would be wrong. Um, and then I have lots of puppets. I do some ventriloquism as well, all with the messages of kindness. I go into schools and parks and special events, senior centers, and I do this thing kind of thing. In fact, I have a cabaret show tomorrow up in Champlin. Um,
Nice.
but one of the things that again both of my parents instilled in me and that is giving back to the community, and I know Beth you do this so well, and I believe it's part of the reason why you're so successful. We've had so many a national night out and you come by with the ice cream and just trying to make those connections and all of the things that you do to give back to the community, and I think that's really our responsibility, and I think it is something that pickleball players do and they're really really good at, is finding ways to give back, because to whom much is given much as required.
Yeah.
So to carry on the legacy of both of my parents, I take a percentage of everything that I make teaching pickleball, and also I sell paddles. I am sponsored by Engage Pickleball,
Oh,
and they're dear friends. And so I sell their paddles, but I take a percentage of that, and then I do free programs at senior centers specifically because, again, I want to honor my elders. Last year, I did a free program for inner city kids, and that was incredible. And as we do when we volunteer, sometimes those volunteer opportunities they they give me even more joy than the paying gigs.
yep.
It's so satisfying to be able to, as I say, spread the pickleball love, spread the kindness love, and to be able to use my gifts to do that is just, it's
Thank
the
you.
best thing in the world for me.
Thank you. And the community thanks you. You do a lot, and we truly appreciate it. Um, so I guess we have to end this wonderful conversation. It has been a joy to get to know you through this process. It's funny, we have a lot in we know a lot of friends in common. But Rachael Kroog, you're one of a kind. It's been a joy, and I look forward to seeing you on the pickleball court.
I love it. Thank you so much, Beth, for the honor and
Thank
the
you.
privilege of spending some time with you.
Thanks.